down, gets nothing effect. Has that one taken away by Troy Hillman. It seems like this could be.
Hello and welcome to the final episode of the Overwatch League recap. At least the final episode for Season 3. I am Blazing Bob, and I am joined by Mel. How you doing, Mel?
Oh, I'm tired.
I'm tired too. I've been moving the last few days. As you can see, for the few of you that do watch it on YouTube, as you can see behind me, all of my art is almost down. We're in the process of moving, so that's been fun.
No,
So
of course.
definitely beat. We're supposed to be joined by iPlay. It could happen any minute. He's going to jump on as soon as he can. So when that happens, we'll change up the stream a bit and talk to him. But I guess we could start off. This is going to be a weird episode. We didn't really put any notes down. We just kind of really just wanted to say goodbye, in case this is the last one ever. And we wanted to make sure that goodbye is on record. So what's going on with us is nothing bad is going on with us, but we are, oh, here, iPlay's popping in now. Let me fix this. See if we got the three hosts.
Hi.
There we go. What's up, iPlay?
What's up? What's up?
We literally just started. It just got done introducing Mel.
Right on time, I play right on time.
Also on the show is I Play Games.
Not a minute earlier.
A wizard always arrives exactly when he means to, Frodo.
Exactly. Exactly.
We were just kind of just about to let everybody know, like, the reason we're stopping the show for at least the rest of Season 3
It's just because we couldn't do it without iPlay. We were just so distraught all the time that we just said.
We were definitely
Imagine
distraught.
I have left a deep hole. Yeah, but it's okay. At least I'm here to help say goodbye to a lot of really awesome memories, a lot of super awesome moments that we've had. And I think the show means a lot to us. It's also meant a lot to a lot of the people that we've been able to meet throughout all these years and form awesome connections. So it just felt right to at least come back and say a proper goodbye to such an awesome venture, which might not be forever, right? Like you guys were saying,
might not be.
Might restart. Yeah.
So basically what's happening is Mel and I have had a huge opportunity thrown right into our laps, and it's an opportunity that's not for sure. So the more work we can put into it right now, the more chance of making it a absolute reality. Also, it's going to require a ton more work. We have to move. There's a lot going on. But if it all works out, it will be amazing for both of us, Melissa's career moving forward.
And you'll probably never see me again. If it doesn't work out, I'll probably be back.
She'll be flying on a jet somewhere in her private plane.
Yes, definitely.
We're not stopping the Overwatch League. We're not stopping being fans, and we could have just kept doing the show if we just phoned it in and just read off stats and didn't watch most of the games. But really, the time part that we can't put in is just the 12 to 18 hours of weekly Overwatch we feel we need to watch to know what we're talking about, because the stats in Overwatch League really do not tell the whole story. And if we're going to do something, I want to do it right, and we're not going to be able to do that. So that's why the show is ending for now. But what I was telling him right before you got in here is this show isn't really going to be a ton about what's currently going on in the Overwatch League. It's really just going to be a look back at the journey we have went on together. There's no real notes for it. We're just gonna go. Yeah,
let's be honest.
we're just so if you're not into that, you don't care about us, you probably don't even need to listen
Get out
to this
now.
episode
Rude.
at all. But with that being said, I think we should talk about how we first met iPlay. I mean, we had met online, but when we first met in LA, and this idea came together over BlizzCon 2017.
Yeah.
I actually really like the story about how we met because it's a similar story on how I met with Rob, who I do OmniCollab with. And it just goes to show that really having a community around you of like-minded people is incredibly powerful and can lead to some amazing things because it happened very organically, right? It's not like we
Yeah.
set out to do this from the very beginning. In fact, I remember the main reason why you and me connected was because it was my first BlizzCon. I didn't know that many people over there. I had been doing the podcast, and I knew that we had a small following, and I knew that some of the people that listened to the podcast were gonna be at BlizzCon. So of course, I was like, well, let me try to see who's there and try to connect with people because I'm going by myself. So when I get there, I want to, have people to hang out with and like do stuff, right? I want to just be a hermit and be in a hotel room on my own. Plus, BlizzCon is very expensive, so I definitely didn't want to just pay for a room by myself. I was like, who else is out there that I can maybe like room and make this a little bit more affordable? So it was almost out of necessity, right? And I started looking out, and Rob mentioned, "Hey, there's a group of podcasters. I know that this guy, Blazing Bob, is gonna be over there. Why don't you hit him up?" And before that, I think we had interacted maybe once, you
Yeah.
and
Right.
me, during maybe a game
It,
night.
yeah, it was a game night. I rocked you on Reaper.
Oh my God.
It's very foggy. I don't really remember
Yeah.
that very well. It was so
That
long
section
ago.
is a little iffy, but
That part of the story I don't recall that well. But but yeah, we barely kind of knew each other. But yeah, so I hit you up and I was like, hey man, um, are you going to BlizzCon? And if you are, do you need a roommate? And I'm gonna pass it on to you guys over here to kind of like tell your side of the story here. It's kind of like the handoff, right?
Yeah, so iPlay only needed a room for the first night because he ended up changing his plans and going early, and he had a room with a Morrow, who we had started this show with prior. He had a room with him, but he needed that first night. And it just so happened Slambo from, formerly from the Cavalry podcast, was rooming with us, but he wasn't going to be there that first night. So it worked out perfect. So we were like, yeah,
so
just
we had a
stay
nice
with us.
open cot in our really tiny hotel room where like Bob acts like we had an extra bed. We definitely did not have an extra bed. We crammed 4 people into this really tiny hotel room, and
Well, they did
made
bring
it
up
work.
one of those little, like, it's
The
not
cots.
yeah, but it's not like a cot. I mean, it's kind of like a bed for like a kid,
It's
basically.
literally a cot. That's what they are. Like it was like
It
a roll.
was
It was
very small.
yeah. It was very tiny, and it was like
It
right
felt
next
even
to the bed.
smaller, and I'm fast forwarding here in the story just kind of to set things up, but it felt even smaller after the first night, and we realized that Bob snores like a freaking lion.
Yeah.
Then
It's
that
pretty
room was really
incredible.
tiny.
I remember Andres because I always tell Bobby when we room with people, I'm like, Bob, did you explain to them that you snore? Like hardcore snore?
He did not
Like,
give me
did you?
warnings about that, but
Yeah.
I was so
No.
hyped for BlizzCon
Well,
that
he
I lived
told me
through it.
he did. He said, yeah, I told him, and he said he snores too. And I was like, but snoring and Bob are just like separate things, right? Like, there's like, you can't compare them. Like, a typical snorer is not Bob.
Yeah,
Like,
anybody who has stayed with me is like, it's
usually only done it once.
Yeah, I can't believe iPlay stayed with us again the next, but he had a separate room though. We got him a separate room, but he agreed to it before we found that cool room though.
I do remember that.
Oh man, but yeah, so
not everyone made it to that first night. Not everyone who slept with us the first night even made it through the entire BlizzCon.
Yeah, true. That was weird. Yeah.
I'm
But
pretty sure that was Bob's fault.
yeah, well,
Let's
I
be real.
mean, we're not going to tell that story though. That's
Not ours to
Yeah,
tell.
yeah, it's not ours to tell. But so we get at the airport. iPlay's been there for hours waiting for us because his flight came in early, but Uber ride was like an hour from LAX to BlizzCon. So
Yeah, it's like $120 for one ride.
yeah, so
He's like, "Fuck that."
he waited for us. And then it was the coolest thing. Like we were just like instantly friends. Like we were just talking the entire ride there. And it was cramped because there were four of us in this little
No,
Prius.
3.
No, Tank
Oh,
was
Tank
also
was with
there.
us too. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
you're right. I will say, I think one of the coolest things about knowing people online and then meeting them in person is that, like, just natural transition of it where it's not weird, right?
Yeah.
Like you
Yeah.
think it would be weird. It's like that like first date mentality where like you meet someone and you're like, "Oh god, I've never actually met you in person." But it's not like that. Like I haven't felt that at all. Like I think there was one point last BlizzCon where I was like, "Have I met uh somebody in person before?" Like I don't remember. Like I just hung out with them so much online. I don't remember if I've met them in person or not. And
Sometimes it does feel like you've known people forever, even though you've only known them online.
right, and
Yep.
it's not as weird as you think it'll be like meeting them in person, you know?
Yep.
Unless you're getting catfish, and because at that point it's kind of
Yeah,
awkward.
that makes it weird. So catfish is out there. You make it weird.
Well, and then we were also like we were also very similar in the fact that like we did hang out that entire BlizzCon, but it was like groups would break off and do different things, and then we would come back together, and groups would break off, and none of us were the type of people that were like, "I got to be with you at all times. I got to be with you at all times." Like, and so that was really cool about us too. We would network apart and then network together, and we ended up seeing our first live World Cup, and that's where Aid Morrow and you, I play, sparked the idea for Al Recap, and that's what really got all of us super excited about Overwatch esports.
All of
Yeah.
us, can we just take a step back real fast? Because one of us was not involved in this conversation.
No, and I wasn't involved in it either until like after BlizzCon. Like
Kidding.
this was Aid Morrow and I play first at BlizzCon, right?
Oh, so you chose Bob over me. See, that was a poor choice. See, that's where it all went wrong. That's why
I
we have
think
to
it
end the
was
show now.
I think it had been a mixture of like the entire weekend. I think Aid Maru, his ideas were kind of like sparking his brain. He was ready to start a project like that one, and he saw kind of like the chemistry that our group had. And obviously, we were already podcasting at that point, but we all had sort of our individual podcasts that we were doing. But even Bob at that point had gotten into podcasts for a fair amount of time.
Yeah.
So I think it just organically kind of all converged together, and we all happened to be in the
There
same
was a
place.
definite
And
bromance happening.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Three-way bromance. It was a little awkward, but
But
hey,
yeah.
but this idea sparked a project that has been really amazing and has taken us in a lot of adventures. We've met a lot of the people that have been involved in this community that we look up to, that we admire as well. And we've been able to make a ton of friendships. And the podcast has grown stronger, the community has grown strong. And even on months or moments of the year where like there's so much going on with the world and Overwatch sometimes takes a step back, those friendships still remain, and I still talk to everyone that is part of the community. Still like always, and there's always that much support. So I don't know. I'm kind of like sidetracking over here, but it's
Oh,
been
no
an
problem.
amazing journey. So I really appreciate that. But yeah, maybe we can talk about some of those adventures that we've been in together.
Yeah, well, I mean, we started off the podcast and Aid Morrow had big ideas about, recapping games and doing a separate show to discuss them and, really doing a lot. And we found out early
I
on that
remember
was too
Bob
much
waking
work.
up. I remember Bob waking up at like 6 in the morning or something to like record a recap. And I was like, you are freaking nuts.
Before
Like,
work, yeah.
this is not gonna sustain, Bob. I know this is a bad idea.
Yeah, but that was before Mel, joined the show. But then we ended up getting to go out to stage 1 playoffs, and get to see the Blizzard Arena in Burbank,
That
and
was the
that
first
was
year, right?
amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, the longest day of our lives. Can we talk
Yeah,
about
dude,
that?
it was, yeah, those stage playoffs were long days,
So
man.
just the stage 1. Remember they changed it after stage 1, but like stage 1, it was like you were literally in the arena from sunrise to sundown. Like it was this massive event.
It was.
And
It was a massive event.
once Houston went out, I was just really pissed. So I was there as moral support, not even a little. He was he was sitting next to me, I think, because there was, like, minimal seats, like, good seats. We had, like, the press seats, but they were, like, crappy seats, right? And we were sitting there, and I think it was just I play and I and he's like, "Houston's definitely gonna lose." And I was like, "They're not gonna lose, I play." And he's like, "I mean, yeah, okay. You just keep telling yourself that." And I'm like, I was so bad.
I don't know if I said it exactly in those words, but I do remember
You were giving me crap.
being very adamant that Houston was gonna lose.
Yeah, right? Whether you said it exactly, you definitely said it.
It
Yeah,
was like a super great time though. First time I was in Anaheim too. No, that was in Burbank. I mean, first time in
yeah,
Burbank.
yeah, because we'd always went to BlizzCon for Anaheim, but then, yeah, we got to meet everybody. We got to meet almost all the casters, all the people on the desk. We got to hang with them. That first night, we ran into and got to meet the guy that voices Reinhardt. Or actually, that might have been the next year. I think that was the next year that we got
Oh yeah, but that might have been
Let's
the
be
next
real,
year.
they all kind of, like, jumble together.
to. But and it was the neatest thing. It was everybody was fun. It was the first time that I met Uber, and I don't know if I've told this story on the podcast or not, but the first time I met Uber, I thought Uber was never going to talk to me ever again because I'm outside vaping. Everybody goes inside except for Uber, and I just, start up some small talk by going, "Hey, can you say that's not a knife, this is a knife?" And as soon as I said it, I thought to myself, "What did you just say? Why would you do that?" And Uber looks down, and I was like, "Oh God, he's pissed." And then he like lifts his head up, gets in character, and he goes, "Well, that's not a knife. This is a knife." And he like does it. I was like, "Oh, dude, I was so afraid I just offended you." And he was like, "Nah, mate, nah." And like we just became buddies after that, And every time we
Uber's
run
great.
into each other, we talk. Like it's just really neat. Like we got to hang out with Sideshow and Bren that
If
first
you hear
time, and
if you hear Bob tell stories though, Uber will be like, "Hey, Bob," right? And that's all he remembers. But let's be real, Uber typically is like, "Hey, Bob, Mel, hey, how's it going?" Right? Like, yeah, just like
I can attest.
forget Mel
I've
out of
been
that
there.
situation,
yeah, I just hear, "Hey, Bob."
and then he stops.
Oh man. But so got to do that. That was super neat. The show was evolving, and then it turned out Morrow had some stuff he had to do, and then I think we brought on one of the best additions to the podcast because I play and I cannot do notes to save our lives. Like our notes look so bad. Mel
It's
comes
true.
in and she takes on the role to do the notes, and then we've got like letterhead and we got all this stuff and charts and graphs, and I mean,
Smooth sailing from that point on.
yep. And
Who
so
needs prep?
we got to go to the stage. Mel and I got to go to the stage 3, the stage 3 finals. But then we got to go to BlizzCon after that, and all of these events kept getting better and better because of the podcast, because we knew so many people. We had them on the show. We had interviewed them at some time or another, and so
Well, lots of
these
times we like were able to get interviews because of our relationships we were able to make by going on site, right? I think that's important. Like we didn't just do it to do it. You know what I mean? Like we didn't just reach out to people blindly. Like we did sometimes, those usually didn't work out.
yeah.
but
Normally, people just
I think we
ignore at
were able
that
to
point.
right. But I think we were able to build relationships with people and let people realize that like we're real people. We care about the league. We're not here to like be the leakers or whatnot. We just want to give people an understanding of what the game is like to play as a professional and like what it is to be a caster or an analyst. And I think people respected that. And, we had a few wild nights with a few different people and we never told anybody about it.
Oh yeah,
So we gained a little respect, I think.
I could tell you some stories that Nate Nancer
You
told me
can't
that would make you go,
tell stories.
"Whoa!"
No, no, no telling, no
Oh,
telling.
definitely,
I mean,
definitely
maybe
not. I
about
said I
Nate, because
could.
Nate, like, relinquished his trust ring, right? He left and was like, "Okay, here you go."
Nope, his secret goes
I'm
with me
just
to the
kidding.
grave. Yeah, then, we move into season 2 and we had Brick McVictory, who was great, and he was doing interviews for us on site, weekly, and that was super cool and a way to get insight on other players. And did you come to opening week, season 2?
No, stage 2, I couldn't attend to that one.
Yeah, that one was awesome.
That
That
was the
w
one that you guys went by yourself.
Yeah, that was the one uh, we got to meet Nate
Wait,
Nancer more, like,
which one?
Mhm.
Which one are you talking about? Sorry.
season 2, uh,
Opening week?
yeah, it's where we really, got to hang
It
out more
wasn't
with
the playoffs, it was
Frito.
opening week. Yeah,
Yeah.
Frito and, um
Oh, we didn't
oh,
even talk
man.
about the season 1 grand finals.
Nope,
I
because we don't talk about those.
I play.
Those are in the list of do not ever mention again items.
Mel
Okay.
is still salty years after it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
and
we got to go
Dallas
to that
Airport
one.
is killing me still.
Yeah, Mel didn't get to that one, but I went and we stayed in the same hotel that that Blevins and Deathblow were in, and and they really threw the party. We just kind of helped promote it, but there was like a big podcaster party meetup, and that was the first time we got to meet Frito and Eddie. It was the first time we got to meet Slasher. Well, I'd been on a show with Slasher, like prior ATP,
That's right, that's right.
but I got to meet him, and I was like, "Man, you were a lot shorter than I thought you were." Same with you, I play. I was like, "You look so much taller in pictures." Oh, but yeah, why don't you tell us a little bit about Brooklyn and like our crazy night, maybe?
Yeah, New York, that was the first time I went to New York too, which is another awesome thing that, through the recap, gave me a fantastic excuse to visit a ton of different places. And backed by the support of the podcast, it made it actually, economically feasible for us to do. So that all that stuff was super awesome. I remember that first night when we first met Frito and Eddie from your Overwatch.
Oh my god.
We were interviewing different people in that patio and it was working out really well. And we asked them, hey, you guys want to do a mini podcast here? And I
Mhm.
remember them being very skeptical. They were like,
Well,
here?
Who are you?
Frito was like, he seemed a little guarded at us at first. He's like, "I don't know
Frito
about
always seems guarded at
here."
first.
And Eddie was like, "Come on, let's do it. Let's do it." You know? And so we ended up doing it. It was you, me, Deathblow, him, and
To be
Eddie.
fair, Eddie
And
may have had a couple
Blevins
more drinks than Frito.
Blevins did show up. He had a drunk cameo, which was hilarious. You can go back and listen to that too.
Yeah, so at this point, Bob is just sending me all of these, like, videos and texts about, like, what's happening, and I am stuck in the Dallas airport, and I'm like, "Babe,
Oh
I
man.
love you, but please stop. I'm nope, I don't wanna see any more of the fun you're having. I have drank out the bar in the Dallas airport, and we're probably broke now because I don't care, but I'm gonna
That
get a
was a
hotel and I'll see
huge
you in the
bill.
morning.
Yeah, that was a huge bill, by the way. My goodness.
Listen, I was depressed,
They
okay?
had to pay for the emotional support Mel needed
Yeah,
at that moment.
But
right?
tell
Like,
us about the exciting night, though. You know what I'm talking about. I mean, you
me?
Oh,
coined it
man.
as the city that never sleeps.
Oh, that's not me. I wasn't there.
Yeah, that city actually never sleeps. We had a huge adventure at our hotel that night. We're all hanging out and just, having a good time being in the hotel. And it was already kind of late. We're just chit chattering. And all of a sudden, the alarms of the hotel just go off. And we all
No,
start to
the
panic.
fire alarms.
Yeah, the fire alarm. We all start to panic. We're like, oh my God, the fire alarms, what is happening? And everybody in the hotel starts coming down. It's like like the start of one of those movies where everything goes to hell in New York. Um, but fortunately, once we got down there, we realized that the whole conundrum is this pipe that has broken and this huge water leak going on downstairs. So no major damage. Well, I mean, there was probably major damage, but no major damage that involved us.
It didn't affect us, so
Yeah,
it was not
whoever's
major at all.
cars were in that bottom, lower level parking garage, they were probably a little upset.
The funniest part is we just ended up ordering a pizza, which got delivered to us on the street while we were waiting for the alarms to kind of like finally go off, and we just ate it right there in front of the hotel
Best
at
pizza
like
I've
4
ever
in the
had.
morning.
Best
Yeah, it
pizza
was
I've
super
ever
good
had.
pizza
Was
too.
so good. And yeah, and Blevins was the only one that had went to sleep, so he's in his like sleep clothes while we're outside. It was hilarious.
It was really funny.
Oh man. But yeah, so we got to do that. We got to have it wasn't media passes at that. It was influencer passes or content creation passes or something.
Yeah,
But
something like that.
I mean, we're right in the middle, like almost front. So it was great seats. And
Yeah, it was pretty good.
yeah, the only thing that was rough is it was raining a whole lot when we were there. We didn't bring
Oh, I remember that.
umbrellas.
One of the
Okay.
coolest things though was outside of the city where when you came out of the venue, you would see people walking in the jerseys, like the Overwatch League jerseys all over
Everywhere.
the city too. So
Everywhere.
you'd recognize like who was part of the Overwatch League. It's like, oh, there they are,
Yep.
Philly fans.
It was really neat. We got to, go check out the NYXL shop that was open for like 2 days, limited opening, and that was super cool. And then go on to season 2, we get to start doing all the interviews. We're getting to go to events regularly. We got, to do press at BlizzCon, which
I
allowed
got to hug Jeff Kaplan.
yeah, which allowed us to meet Jeff, interview Jeff, talk to Jeff. It was a little surreal.
Yeah. It was even more surreal because Frito was sitting next to us being negative Nancy over there.
So you're
Isn't
still
that his
telling me
actual
there's no
state
such
though?
thing as power
No.
creep? Oh man. I don't think him and Jeff get along really well. They respect each other, but I don't know
No,
that.
they have a working relationship, working professional.
Oh man, but
But I think Jeff respects that because Jeff used to be a Frito back in the day, calling out
Jeff was
them
worse than a
and
Frito. Let's be
way
real.
yeah, way worse, exactly. So I
Frito
think he
was
knows.
tries to keep it PC.
Yeah, I think he knows where guys like Frito are coming from because they're not coming from a place of like hate or just non-constructive feedback. In fact,
Right.
a guy like Frito cares very much about the game.
Oh yeah.
Um, and it shows, right? Like he's doing content for the community and he wants a healthy game. So I think Jeff knows that because
yeah.
Yeah.
he's been featured in the Overwatch launcher,
Yeah.
Oh, nice,
I
or
didn't
not
know
the
that.
Overwatch launcher, but the Blizzard launcher. Overwatch has been featured, or your Overwatch.
nice.
Yeah. No, I mean I think Jeff definitely accepts that feedback. And we can see from all the changes they've made, not just in Overwatch League, but in the Overwatch game that have come from the community. And they don't make every change because that would be stupid, right? Like if they made changes
Mhm.
every time somebody complained, like you just aren't going to please everybody. So get over it. But they do critically think about it, I think, when people that have a higher, social position,
No,
when they say
Well,
something.
I wouldn't say social position, more like a platform, right? Have
Right.
like
yeah,
a platform that is successful because it obviously shows that a lot of people respect those people's opinion too, or at least look up
Right.
to them, right, for information.
Yeah.
definitely. And then in season 2 also, we had the home stands, and we got so lucky with the Atlanta homestand, location, everything, and, like, I want you to tell
Oh
a little
man.
bit about that, I play.
Yeah, I'm no
Oh, yeah.
longer at that location, but it was again almost like perfect timing that it happened because the venue was right down the street from where I was living at the time. And that was just
Yes, we know.
a great recipe, for great things to happen. First of all, really convenient. Bob and Mel ended up staying at the house. You guys got to visit Atlanta. That was pretty awesome as well.
We went to
Um,
the aquarium,
yeah, we went to the aquarium, which is the thing
saw
everybody
Uber.
does when they comes over here. Did we
We
get?
saw
Did they get to see the belugas?
we saw Uber. We did see the belugas and
The
Uber,
belugas and Uber. Perfect. That's a great trip to the aquarium.
right? Like, what more could you ask
That's,
for?
that's everything you want to see, honestly.
And the penguins, we saw the penguin show. They, like, came out on the ramp, little waddle.
And everybody
Oh, that's
went to
right.
the aquarium that day. We ran into
Legit
Monty
everybody.
and Sue and
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Susie,
yeah.
and
You
we
know
I mean,
why
Everyone went
everybody
to the
went to the
aquarium.
aquarium that day? Because it was inside and it was, like, 190 degrees outside. It
gosh,
was
Atlanta's
freaking
hot.
Welcome
miserable.
to Hotlanta.
Oh my god. Come to Colorado, please, because it's just beautiful weather all the time.
Yes, as soon as all this COVID thing is over, I'm up there.
Yeah, well, we're only here for another, like, 6 months, so
Yeah,
Oh, really?
we're going back to the Springs. We were
Oh.
supposed to be moving back to Kansas City in
You
2
guys basically
months.
just took a vacation in Colorado.
Yeah, and
Like a long vacation.
this new
2
opportunity
and a
is
half
taking
years.
us back down to the Springs, and so
Yeah, because Mel driving an hour plus to work every day and an hour plus back is just
not good.
not
Yeah,
helpful.
that sounds non-sustainable.
Yeah, and then I have to work, like, when I get back till, like, 9 I basically am working from, like, 6 a.m. to 9 p.m., and it's rough.
Yeah.
So if I can take 2 hours of drive time out, then I only have to work till 7 p.m.
You need to get the whole company on Zoom and just remote it from here on out.
Yeah. See, we do therapy with children with autism, and they don't respond to Zoom as well.
Okay,
I saw
fair
this
point,
Facebook
fair
message from
point.
somebody that was like, "So I have a client that I'm doing Zoom therapy with, and he just keeps ending the call." And I'm like,
Yeah, that is I guess that is hard
"That's
to
not
do
a thing."
therapy like that. Somebody needs to invent Zoom for that specific purpose.
Yeah, yeah. Nope. There's
Not
nothing you could
glitching it.
invent because 'cause they'll just sit there and stare at you and be like, "I'm not gonna do what you want me to do, and you can't make me because 'cause you're on a
Yeah, you
computer
would need,
screen."
like, robot
Unless I
hands.
could reach
What
through the
about
computer screen and be like, "Yeah."
virtual reality Zoom? Is that too much?
I don't know.
It's actually I mean, we might look into that.
What?
I'm totally derailing the conversation over here.
Uh, uh,
Yeah,
but, uh but we got to go to Atlanta. Atlanta was amazing. It was like the owner of the Atlanta Rain is just a generous man. I mean, that guy is
he
not
knows how to throw a party.
miserly at all. He
He
knows how
is
to throw a party.
he's really into esports and it shows, which I'm really glad, right? That he's just not a guy that saw in some headline like, "Hey, esports are the new best way to make money. You need to get into this fresh new thing," which does happen a lot, right?
Yeah,
So I'm glad that he's really in it for the competition.
Yeah.
Because when look at the Atlanta, like you see the funding that it needs, you see the seriousness that he's put into it, and you saw it when you guys came over here, the money that he poured into making that a memorable homestand.
Yeah, it
it
was
definitely was.
super cool. And then, like, throwing the after party at your apartment, which just happened to be across the street. And I just remember, what was it, like 20 of us walking from
I
main
think so.
event to your apartment. It was like, I mean, There was a bunch of Atlanta players there. There was coaches. Malik was walking with us. He didn't stay long, but like he was going over with us, and Tundra had left us a bunch of alcohol the night before.
No, he brought it over. No, he brought it over. It was at his place, remember?
No, he brought it
Yeah,
over the
yeah.
night before though, and he had just
Oh, was
left it there, and the Atlanta raid just tore into it.
Can we just talk about what type of alcohol we had though? Because it wasn't great. We had like what tequila with nothing
Yeah,
to
Tequila
put
with tequila.
with it,
we did
and then
have
we had
limes. We
like
found limes though, didn't we?
maybe at some point, I don't know. I
I
just
don't
remember
remember.
having like one piece of what we needed and like not the other. Like we had vodka, but nothing to put with it. We had like, but hey,
But
guess
we got
what?
to
It was
talk
the after
like,
party, and we got to freaking
yo,
drink more, so it was fine.
and we got to talk Overwatch with the pros, with the coaches. I mean, it was really cool, and just
Listen,
the
Overwatch super
networking.
intoxicated with coaches and pros is really entertaining.
It is. It is. It is pretty fun. Yeah, it was a
Oh,
pretty awesome night. It was a great way to finish that homestand, and honestly, a great way to kind of like end that era in that apartment. It was almost like the perfect finish.
yep. And Kinder came out and got more drunk than I've ever seen someone somehow. Well, I mean, we know how it happened. I mean, it was an open
We
bar
know how it happened.
at the party, so we were doing we were doing shots. I mean, we were going crazy playing games.
At
It
the party,
was
we're hanging out
nuts.
with Eddie a lot. And one of my favorite things was when we were doing like the EU versus NA.
Oh
Uh-huh.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was really
Me and
fun.
Eddie,
And
yeah, we were
and,
Yeah.
and
definitely
he'd be like,
like,
NA sucks.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Eddie and I, like, I don't even know
Eddie
where
has
you
that
guys
competitive
were.
spirit.
Yeah, I don't even know where you guys were half the time. Like Eddie and I were like walking around with a couple other people and like playing basketball together, NA versus EU.
That was the first night I met
Listen,
at
I was not an
Vast.
appropriate representation of NA. I'm just gonna throw that out there. Eddie.
Yeah,
It's not fair.
it was the first night I met Vast, and Avast can talk. I mean, he can
Yeah,
talk. And I
he
was
can
just
definitely
like,
talk. He
I
talks
was
very
just like,
fast
oh
too.
man, okay. Well, we just had a long conversation there, and it was great. I just didn't expect, when I went up and introduced myself for it to be that long. But I was just
I
networking with
I think
everybody
that
I
was the
could.
first time I like met Mr. X, like, and had like a real conversation with him. I just remember like sitting outside of main event, like I don't know, like on like this ledge that was out there, and
Yeah, it was a pretty
just
high up
talking to
ledge.
Mr. X, and like him just being all real and like, yeah, And by the way, did you guys know Mr. X's wife is like a super streamer?
I did not know
I did
that.
not know that,
Yeah, she
but it would
is.
make sense.
Yeah,
I've heard she's
so
cute though.
she's very cute,
Yeah, I
very cute.
And a
definitely
super
heard that.
streamer. Good
And a
for
super
Mr.
streamer. I
X.
don't know if she's a super streamer, but I know she's a streamer. I just imagine she's a super streamer because she's really cute and married to Mr. X, so she must be cool.
But yeah, it's just I mean, it's just been a long, great ride. And I mean, truly, the best part of it has just been the friends we've made along the way. The the friends we it's just crazy. Like I can't believe how intertwined all the Overwatch and Overwatch League content creators and specifically podcasters are so close compared to like other games. I mean, we
It's
work
because
with
we're
each
all super
other,
cool.
we collaborate with each other. We got to do those mid-season round tables with a ton of different podcasters. We've got to do ATP because of it, which I really miss that show, Blevins and Deathblow. If you could bring that back, that'd be sweet.
No, no, only bring it back if you set a timer. Okay? I'm tired of this like rambling, get points for crap analysis. Okay? You bring it back, you have a timer. So that's all my feedback. Just saying.
And so it's been an awesome time. It's been amazing. And when we announced the show was ending, a lot of people sent really nice messages, and it was really cool. It made me feel really good, and it really kills me to end the show. It really does, but I would rather do that than just phone it in and make it, you know. I'm not saying that I said anything good anyhow, but at least I watched the games. So, like, maybe you thought
At
what I
least in your
said was
heart, you felt like you
stupid.
were doing your best job.
Yeah, maybe
So
you
this is
thought I
what
was an
Listen,
matters.
I
idiot.
listened to last week's episode and you mentioned Dallas a lot and you didn't say a word about Houston. Can
I
we just
specifically
get this
left
out?
Houston out.
Yeah, I know. That was rude because you guys were talking about Dallas putting up a great fight against all these top tier teams. And I'm like, listen, Dallas have struggled against Houston, okay? So get over yourself. Get out of here. Houston is actually good.
Oh,
Okay?
man. Okay.
Accept it.
All right.
Accept it.
Okay, Dream. Okay. Okay.
Listen, I am not Dream. I did not agree with Dream's analysis of, well, Blase is just the better player. Nope, nope. Never on McCree is Blase the better player. Ever. That just isn't a thing. Sorry.
Oh, man. Yeah. And yeah, it's weird to cancel something that's actually popular. Like, I don't know why people listen to the show, but we have a lot of people that listen to the show, not a lot of people that watch the show, despite me trying really hard for that. But, either way, we still have a lot of listeners, and it's a bummer because who knows if I'll ever be on a project that's, as big again, but I can't just do it wrong. I'm still gonna, guest on podcasts if people want me on. Don't have any plans to leave Al by the numbers with Totem, Ednar, and Ramses. I'm kind of a part-time guest on that show already, and so it's not that much of a time commitment. Um, and if this was just a show about Overwatch, I could have kept it going because I could just play Overwatch. But watching all those games, takes its toll over time. Does
It
anybody?
does. Take effort, especially if you have, so much going on in your life already, right?
Yeah,
Yeah. Real life happens, guys. It's unfortunate, but
And
it
this year
does.
has been especially busy, I think, for everyone, even people in Overwatch League.
oh, this year is
Right.
weird. It's really weird. Can we just delete 2020? Just can we just have a
Pretend like
Like
redo?
it
an
didn't
alternative
happen.
reality.
Yeah, can we just have a redo because I'm
It
not
is
liking
super weird.
anything
I feel
going
like we're
on.
living in like this super weird like Twilight Zone, right? Where it's like everybody's wearing masks and everybody's like I can't see facial expressions. Like I smile at people in my mask and I'm like, oh, they don't realize I'm doing that. That's super awkward. Like,
Yep.
like and I'm like sitting there trying to talk to parents of like kids I work with in a mask. And I'm like telling them something. I'm like, they can't even see my facial expressions. This is so awkward.
It's a
Like,
weird, eerie feeling.
yeah, it's super weird. But I get it. I wear my mask. Okay.
Yep. And I've also I'm not done podcasting either for this time. Like Mel is for the time being, but I'm still doing projects with Jaw. We've got a Last of Us mini series podcast coming out. I think it actually released today called We Are Survivors. It's where
Very
we're
cool.
going through like what happened in The Last of Us 1. And then I can't, Jaw has not heard any spoilers, so I can't wait for our playthrough of Last of Us 2 because it's gonna be spicy. And then I was on the Mash Those Buttons show, which is a show that just talks about general games, but I came on to specifically on one of the episodes to talk about Final Fantasy 7. So I'm not stopping podcasting, I'm just stopping producing a show because it's too much for me to do right now. That's it's a lot of work that goes into podcasting.
And
And
Mel doesn't have time to write the notes.
yeah, and once you
But
start
there's no
doing that and editing and stuff like that, you find out that it's not just as easy as talking into a mic.
No, it's a lot of work and a lot of prep work and a lot of behind the scenes stuff. And the most important thing is also you have to keep your ideas fresh and your topics fresh. And the best way to do that is staying on top of the scene, talking to people,
Right.
uh, consuming content yourself, like the VODs or the live games, everything.
Or even
Is
other people's
definitely
content too.
is
That's some of the
definitely
best.
it's definitely a lifestyle. It's not just something that you're like, oh, I'm just gonna do like this random um project over here. No,
Right.
you have to live it to be able to make the best kind of content.
Yep.
Right. You really have to commit. And I think that's where we're at is that we can't commit that much time right now. And there's
Hmm.
just too much going on that we have to say, okay, something has to give. And, you know, unfortunately, our fun hobbies and our fun things that we love to do are the first thing that has to go because they don't pay the bills.
Yep.
And like,
And
and
when they do,
to be
that's great. But yeah,
fair, right. To be fair, like my passion is in what I do for my job. And I'm one of the lucky ones that loves going to work every day, right? I don't love going to work at 6 a.m. every day right now, but I love going to work every day. And I enjoy my job every day of the week. And I think that that's rare. And if you have that, you have to capitalize on that. Now, I also love podcasting, but I think at some point it interfered with doing my job and podcasting and any other time that I had. And it was like, okay, we just need to decide what to prioritize here because you don't have time for everything.
that's true.
Yep. Does anybody in chat have any questions you might want us to answer or anything you'd like to say? Also, what was I going to say? There was one more thing I didn't hit on, and I can't put my finger on it.
Well, you think about it. Let me talk about what I want to talk about.
Go.
Okay. So for me, I feel like the May Melee was great, but I feel like it was way too much packed into one weekend. I feel like it was exhausting to watch. And maybe that's just because it wasn't my team, but at the same time, like, it was just so many games. And I think I was listening to somebody, maybe Tactical Crouch, I'm not sure who it was, but they were saying no, I think it was actually last week's I'll recap,
Oh,
where Yiska was
because
saying, like
Yiska was on, so
yeah,
it was
yeah.
kind of
So
similar
it
to
was
Tex and
very,
Crouch. He was
yeah.
great too, man. He was so
Yeah,
good.
no, it was. But I think what he said resonated with me where people in esports don't watch esports like people watch traditional sports, right? Like if I just had to watch Houston games and then the finals, like the Super Bowl, right? Like I would watch Kansas City Chiefs in the playoffs until they were out. And then I probably wouldn't watch any of the other playoff games, maybe in the background, whatnot. But then I would watch Super Bowl, right? But I feel like Overwatch League, like, you feel like you have to watch all of the games, and maybe that's just because 'cause I'm a content creator. So, I don't know, like, it was so much, but I also feel like it'd be so much if I watched every single game in the NFL. Like, that'd be too much for me, but I don't because
Right.
I don't care about the other teams. Whatever. I also didn't do a podcast on them.
Yeah, and I guarantee you, Mel's not going to miss a Houston game. I'm not going to miss a Dallas game, and I'm still going to watch all the really good games. Like I'm still going to be listening to all my buddies' podcasts and now I'm going to be keeping up with the league that way instead of just comparing our different opinions, which is how I listen to them now. So there's still a lot of great shows out there can that can give me the updates that I need for the games that I miss and let me know which games I need to watch. And that's what I'm excited to kind of go back to super fan instead of, you know, uh, journalist. Like, and that's another thing we didn't talk about this on. I play and I kind of realized how different this show was than the other shows we had done prior. Do you want to talk about that just a second? I play like actually being a journalist, interviewing and covering stuff. Like it's very different from Omnic Lab and Watchpoint Radio and Mel's the Cavalry. It's very
Yeah, yeah,
different.
yeah. Before this show, most of my experience with content creation was more centered around no learning, right? I made educational podcasts because that is what I wanted to listen to. When I set out into making podcasts, I remember thinking to myself, I want to make a podcast that I want to listen to. And what I was interested in at the time was learning the games. So doing that kind of podcast is much different, right? Because you can talk about your experience learning those games and my journey discovering all these different techniques and just talking to players about how they would play the game, which is a much different angle, right?
Definitely
It's something
different.
that I could it's something that kind of like fitted my lifestyle already because it was something that I was already doing sort of naturally because that's how I like playing games.
You didn't
Um
put in extra time to do the content, right?
exactly.
It was there
Exactly,
already.
like, I was already living the content, so it just was the matter of recording it and polishing it enough to put it out there for people to hear, but, yeah, it was very natural to me. With our recap, it was a little bit different, right? Because now we were covering live events, and with those kind of events, if you're not sort of punctual or not, you have to be like on top of it, right? Because if you wait
Definitely.
too long, then it's all news, right? Why are you talking about the games that happened a month ago when there's games that are happening like right now, like as you're talking? So a little bit more pressure to deliver very fast, and also the content itself doesn't age that well. Rewatchability of it is not as important, right? Nobody's going back to previous episodes of season one to kind of catch up on that.
Let's see what happens season 1, week 4.
Yeah,
Ex-
and
Deal
exactly.
fighter.
and so like your editing and stuff, you want to get that out as soon as possible, and it puts a lot of pressure on you, and it's very different from the other projects, and I
And don't get
enjoyed
me
it.
wrong. Yeah, I got a lot out of it too, and I learned a lot about it. I had never put myself in a journalistic role like this one before, so it definitely took me out of my comfort zone a little bit. It was an amazing experience. It's something I can take on from here on out because it is valuable experience that you could apply to many different jobs, many different projects that you decide to do later on in your life. The connections that we made around those times are still real, and there's still
Right.
people that we get to know and get to talk to even after finishing the show. So I really appreciated all those aspects of this kind of content creation. Um, However, I do think that there are people that are more suited for this kind of content, right? Where they're
Definitely.
pursuing those stories, or they're living those stories, and that is their daily life, right? So for them, it's natural to do
Right.
these sort of content.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you
Like,
look at
that's
like
your job,
Sideshow,
you know what I mean?
Bren,
Like,
and all of them, and basically what they're doing, like on Plat Chat, they're just talking shop. It's just like you going to happy hour with a whole bunch of people you work with and just talking shop. I mean, it's the content just makes itself. And that's what we were used to with like Omnic Lab and Watchpoint Radio and Cavalry. And so this was definitely a different step. But Mel, sorry, I cut you off. You were going to say something?
no, no, no. I actually was like, Loki asked a good question in chat where he says, "What are skills you guys are going to take from doing this moving forward in life?" And I think for me, it's like there's a lot of skills I would take from this. And one, like I presented national conferences like frequently on research and things that I'm doing in my actual life, where this is like my pretend life, right?
This is
And
your
but
hobby. Yeah,
they
this
don't
is
cross.
yeah, this is your
Yeah.
hobby.
Yeah, I know, but they don't cross, right? Like they're like separate lives. I have separate lives. I have work life and then I have fun life. and they don't cross. But what I will say is one way they have crossed is that doing podcasting, I think, has really improved my ability to speak at conferences, right? Like to give a presentation, I feel much more comfortable because I've talked a lot in front of people, whether they're virtual people or, people in front of me. Like I've done
Mhm.
that a lot. And so, and it was also very funny because I did a presentation at a conference for California, and there was like 1,000 people in the chat, and it was like freaking Twitch chat over there, right? And like
You're
my
like,
boss,
I know how this goes.
right? I'm like, I got this. And my boss is like, what is happening? Why are they saying like stupid little things like those kids are cute? Or like, don't you think they'd want to say something like more productive? And I'm like, Nancy, it's chat. Like, come on. They're just, you know, they're just
Just
talking.
talking.
But it's hilarious to see like that was like not abnormal to me, right?
Yeah,
Like I
it
wasn't
was
thrown
normal.
off by that. But I
It is
was
interesting
curious
because
to see if it would be like that, right?
and I do think it's interesting that you mentioned that because I think that a lot of the stuff that we do in the podcast, like for example, the way that we run it, the way that we conference, the way that we create the content, honestly, it's the way that I think a lot of people are gonna start working
Yeah.
in real life, especially now with COVID and everyone working remotely. I think that the workflow has become more and more like that. And it's funny because I joke with Kristen. I tell her like, dude, we've been training our entire lives
For
for this
this.
moment. We are
Right.
we are ready. Now that I'm doing a lot of work from home and teleconferencing, all that stuff, people get to see my setup over here, and I'm equipped, right? Like
Yep.
I'm like
My
a
doctor
master.
freaked out. He was like,
No,
"Whoa, you got a crazy microphone."
no, I did the first telehealth appointment with our doctor, and he was like, "Hey, are you like a YouTuber or something? You got a lot of cool stuff going on there." I was like, "I'm not a YouTuber. No,
And
thank you."
honestly, yeah, this stuff has come in handy in a lot of other aspects in my life. And like you said, public speaking is one of them. I feel much more confident talking to people that I have never met. I feel much more confident interviewing people, which I think
Right.
is amazing, right? Like it's valuable even for things like applying for a job.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah, it's
so
oh,
I
sorry, go
think
ahead.
there's a lot to take from making the show and living these experiences. Because to be honest, it's a little nerve wracking to put yourself in some of those situations, right? Fly
You can
out to
push
another
yourself
side of the
outside the box.
country.
You
Yeah.
push yourself outside the box, and you definitely like even interviews we did with people, like it was very uncomfortable at first, right? Like we
Yeah.
were like, "Oh my god, okay, am I going to say the right thing? Am I going to do the right thing? Is this going to be weird?" Right? And they got more and more comfortable as you did them, and I think those are skills that you can take just in general with life, like
Yeah, you start
being
learning some of the
talking
etiquette
to
that you need to
people.
have in those situations and,
Right,
how to get that content out there. You learn a lot about the people. And like once you interview them, sometimes you even realize like, dude, this guy that I'm interviewing, he's as nervous as I am, maybe
right.
even more.
Yep.
And once
Like
you realize that,
Sinatra.
it's like, oh, this is not that bad.
Yep.
Yeah, like Sinatra was the one that stands out in my head where he acts like this very overconfident person, right? And I think he asked to restart the interview like 3 times, right? Like
He's
he
like,
was
"Sorry,
like,
sorry, sorry, man. Can we just do
"Can we
that
do that
again?"
again? Do that again." Like, and it's like, "Okay, you are just a kid who's nervous talking to people, and when you're on social media, you can, edit your stuff, and we don't know how long it took you to put together those words."
Yeah, for me, it's actually I mean, just podcasting in general, but doing this show helped with that even more so in person. But I mean, it was life-changing for me because my entire life I had a stutter. Like, and when I was young, it was I mean, it was bad, really bad. As I got older, into college, I didn't really stutter anymore, but I would get stuck on words all the time. Like, I'd be like,
Mhm.
"My name's Bobby," and I'd have to like push it out, right? And that stayed with me until I started podcasting, and podcasting has just taught me my real voice. I used to try to talk very breathy, and I think that was always my problem, trying to talk just with breath. And then I realized that this is my actual voice and just using my voice box. And that's something that's changed here. And I still, even after podcasting and getting over that, I was having that problem in person. And so all the
Mhm.
interviews and stuff, doing our recap and interviewing players, having people on the show. I mean, you remember how nervous I was that first time I interviewed Harry Hook at the Stage 1 playoffs.
And it ended
And
up being
you
one of your favorite interviews.
yeah, you walked me through it, you made me feel comfortable, and, that's the best part about making these relationships is that I would have chickened out, I think, of those interviews had you not been there to help me through it, and then I, like paid it forward when we went out and met, Brick McVictory, and I helped him the same way that you helped me, and so, really, the best thing that I've taken from this show is, like I said before, the friends that we've made along the way has just been amazing, and I just can't emphasize that more.
Absolutely.
I agree.
And Totem
So
wonders if you guys are worried about Owl players' turnover, knowing the number of moves we've seen this year alone. I don't know
I'll
that
take
I'm
this
worried
one
about it.
first. Like,
Yeah, you
I'm
go
not,
ahead.
I'm not like, I agree that there's been a lot of turnover and there's been people jumping to the new hot thing, but a lot of those people were people not getting a ton of playtime, right? So, like, you look at Sinatra, and yes, he was the MVP last year on Zarya.
Yeah, you
And
got to remember it. He failed when he came into the league season 1 playing Tracer.
right. But I mean, to be fair, like Shock wasn't the team that they are now. So like he potentially could have had a career. But at the same time, like he's in his prime and he's trying to make his jump to be in his prime somewhere else, which is kind of not looking like such a great option right now because Valorant seems to be kind of failing a little bit in the public eye. But
Yeah,
who
a
knows?
little premature to make the jump at it, but hey, up to him.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Do what you have to do,
and
right? But I
and
guess
Valorant
my
still has time though. I mean,
yeah, it's
they've hit a
Yeah.
snag here on release, but I think a lot of
yeah,
that's due to their anti-cheat software and a lot of other things. But sorry,
right.
go ahead.
No, but I think like we're in a game that is going to have burnout from players, right? And it's going to have burnout from players that aren't playing as much or players that are playing and not succeeding, like Corey, right? Like, I think Corey was like, I've done all I can. Like, I feel like my heroes are in the meta now, and I'm still not able to carry this team, so I'm going to go. And one thing that I think people are overlooking is the impact that COVID had on players specifically, right? Like
That's
there's
yeah,
some
definitely.
players that I'm sure enjoy playing from their home, but they enjoy playing from their home or their like little scrim area to a degree, but it doesn't have the same competitive feel that homestands did, right? Like when you think of like going into this year and the hype of homestands and like the fact that they did it for the first like part of the year and then it just went to like isolation, I think that that took a big toll on a lot of
A
players
ton.
in their motivation.
I think it
So
finally felt like a job for them, right? Rather than
right.
like glory and recognition.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's like you don't get that, like, whether it's booing or cheering, like, either way, you see how many people are invested in what you're doing. And I think not seeing that and having seen that at the beginning and then not seeing it anymore, I feel like just kind of like brought a damper on players, especially players like Stratus, right? Who like lived for the hype.
Yeah, they were feeding off of that.
Yeah, like that's what they were like made for, whether it was booze or cheers. Like he was there to do either one, and I don't know. I feel like we're overreacting to the number of player turnovers because Overwatch is a dead game versus because of the situation that's occurring in the world that has led people to just be like, maybe I should explore something else,
And one thing to keep in mind is there won't be a shortage of players, right?
Right.
Like if players move on, Overwatch is still a one of the most secure. Well, I'd say secure in quotation marks over here, just because of the climate of the world right now. Um, but it's one of the most secure jobs that you can have in esports currently, right? There's not a lot of leagues that are paying you and giving you the benefits that Overwatch League is giving you
Right.
and guaranteeing.
Yep.
So you're still gonna have people that are gonna be allured to that, right? Especially in countries like South Korea or outside of the US where that is a huge opportunity for them. Um, Now the question is, will that affect your fandomship, right? Would losing some of the iconic names that you've, grown with the game with, would that make you lose interest in the game? Um, would you
Yeah.
be open to new stories and new players rising and learning those, right? Because I think with esports in general, those timelines are going to be shorter, so you
Right.
should expect to see those cycles happen every once in a while where maybe in 5 or 6 years you wouldn't recognize that many names in the league if you haven't
Right.
kept up.
If you stopped watching now, like you probably in 5 years, nobody
Maybe
that's
less
in
than
it
that.
now will be in it then. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And that
maybe
is kind
EQO
of
will still
sad,
be in there or something, but like that's about it, you know what I mean?
just randomly, Just
Yep.
echo. Like, hey, Ikeo, go. But I do think like you still have to think about the fact that these players are trying to figure out what they want to do with their life, right? They're very young. They've got a good opportunity, but do they have anybody that's like mentoring them on like financial situations, right? Like, yeah, you could go to Valorant and you could make a lot of money. Maybe not. Maybe. They don't even have an esports scene yet. Like, come on. Like, you're making this much money right now. Like, just come on. But to be fair, I think my love for the game, yes, I loved Houston, and a lot of it was Jake, and a lot of it was the USA team, right? Like, I watched them in the World Cup, and I was like, oh, this is so awesome. And
Mhm.
then they've kind of scattered, right? But to be fair, Jaxay, mm, I mean, that boy, I love him. He can't do wrong. He's just so amazing. But I I move on with the team with the new players. And I think that esports have struggled with that on like continuing to love a team even though it's a different team. And I could be wrong. I'm not into a lot of other esports. So please
Well, I mean,
don't
yeah, and
quote
that's
me.
what a lot of people are, but I know for me, the Dallas Fuel, I like the Dallas Fuel. I like the owner. I like Castro. I like Arrow. I grow to like a lot of the people that, joined. And just like on the Chiefs, I don't necessarily like everybody on the Chiefs.
Yeah,
I
but don't get
can
rid of Patrick Mahomes. If you get
Yeah,
rid of
I
Patrick
can
Mahomes,
I
you're gonna
can
hate.
name a couple that I just don't like, but I still like the team, and the team is me, and it's become part of my personal branding, and that's what I loved, and that's what brought me in to start this in the first place is because of the regionally based thing. I loved that. But I think we need to start kind of wrapping up, guys.
Can I just
It's
comment on what
sad.
Totem said?
What did he say?
So he said the Titans Fallout broke him. Okay. I feel
That's
like
pretty bad.
the Titans Fallout was like on an epic level,
Yeah.
right?
Something
Like
like we've never
that's
seen
not how
before.
it's supposed to go. It's supposed to go like, oh, a couple new players in, couple players out. Okay, you can move on. A couple players in, couple players out. All of a sudden, like the whole team's different. But it's not like, oh. all at once where it's like, yep, we couldn't do it. All the players are dropped.
Yep.
Like,
Yeah,
that's weird.
that was a weird situation. Yeah,
So
not a good sign of the volatility of some of the teams.
to end
Yeah.
out the show, no, you guys are not required to comment on this at all, but I want to make a statement of my own and been kind of afraid to make this type of statement publicly, but you know what? It's the last show, so
Really
fuck
good.
it. Okay, I say support Black Lives Matters. Like, please keep the conversation going. Please keep it civil, keep it safe, keep it peaceful, but do not stop. Keep it going. And I want to talk to everybody. I just want to tell a quick story that changed the way that I thought about police brutality. I was one of those dumb, well, okay, I'm not calling people dumb, but I was one of those
He's a
people that
dumb white
thought,
guy.
"Oh, only criminals get abused by police." And 2 years ago, I was at Arrowhead Stadium, Christmas, watching the game. I had my vape, and I probably shouldn't have been vaping it, but we were outside, so I didn't think it was a problem. I go to
That's why
walk
you're not.
out, a cop tells me, "Hey, put your vape away." So I say, "Okay." And so anybody that doesn't know how a vape works, you don't put it in your pocket while it's on. That's extremely dangerous. The only way to turn most of them off is to click the button 5 times. So the cop told me to put it away. I clicked the button 5 times. A little puff of vapor came out the top. He said, "Okay, you're done." Before I knew what was happening, I was on the ground, one security officer and 2 cops on top of me. My wrist is almost broken. My iWatch was broken. I had bruises everywhere. My daughter's screaming, "Let him go. He didn't do anything. Let him go." And they
Belle, on the
held
other
me
hand, is
down.
screaming, "Bob,
Hey,
just say okay."
yeah, yeah, and I was
Good
saying,
advice.
"Okay."
Good advice.
But I was already on the ground, already beaten up, hurt for no reason. So do not think that this is a just black problem. This is a problem with police brutality, and just keep talking about it because the majority of times I've ever interacted with police has been good, but there are those bad times, and these are humans, they make mistakes, like, and we need to have better accountability, and I'm the farthest thing from a criminal, and I got beat up bad, and it was for almost nothing. So, do not think that you're safe from it. Speak out now. I just wanted to say that. That's all I wanted to say.
Yeah, it's good that you brought it up because I agree. Everyone should be speaking about it and reminding each other that this is an everyone problem, not just a few people's problem.
Right?
Yeah.
I think for me, it's like I look at it in the way that it affects me and the community that I work with, and not that like it's just African Americans that are targeted, but children with autism and adults with autism are really targeted.
Yeah,
And
they're a
it
vulnerable demographic. Absolutely.
yeah, it's really sad. I mean, I went to help a child that got stuck in an elevator and was freaking out, and when he got out of the elevator, his mom was trying to calm him down, and the police put him in handcuffs, even though his mom said, "Please don't, like, I'm right here, I've got him," and
And if you've ever been in
they
real
drugged him, and they,
handcuffs,
like,
you
gave
can
him a
get hurt
sedative.
bad. Like,
They gave
real
him a
handcuffs
sedative.
hurt
Oh yeah.
bad. Like, they
But they gave him
rip
a
you up.
sedative and they drugged him and they handcuffed him, and of course he's freaked out. He doesn't know what's happening, and he's a higher functioning, teenager, and so they don't see him as anything but a typical adult, right? But he's
Hmm.
not a typical adult, and that's what scares me is, like, I have these kids that I know I have to prepare for potential conflicts with law enforcement, and I don't want to have to think about the fact that they're just going to they're going to resist every time.
Yeah,
If
we
you put
need
them in handcuffs, they will resist. If you restrain them, they will resist because they don't have any other way to communicate to you that they didn't do what you're telling them they did, right? Like, and
and
that
there is proper ways, like, police are equipped with, like, straight jacket type of restraints. They can use that, but what we
well,
need
and
is reform, and we need
Well,
better
it is not to
training.
use force for to resolve every situation, I think. You know,
Yes.
you don't have to bring a jackhammer to solve every
right.
single problem out there.
Yes,
And to be
and I'm
fair,
not.
I'm trained in professional crisis management, and we can hold a child who is 3 times the size of me down. It does take 3 people, but we can hold them
Yeah, it's
and we
called
can
PCM training.
right, and we can restrain them in a very comfortable position where none of their joints are manipulated and allow them to actually calm down and then have a conversation with them,
And
right?
the 3
Good.
cops that were on top of Floyd could have used that same procedure, and we just
Right.
need we just need to keep the talking up, we need to keep reform up. I don't know that I have all the answers, of course, but we'll find the answers if we keep talking.
Yeah. Agreed.
Alright, sorry to bring it, kinda down at the end there, but I really felt
Hey, you're good.
strongly about this, and, you know, I just it's just gotta stop. We are all one people. We are all, I mean, I love how diverse this podcast is. Mel's half Mexican. I plays from Colombia. I mean, this is great, and just try and change. Try and open your mind because it's not just criminals that get hurt.
Mhm.
All right, well,
Well
that's
said.
going to end the show, guys. If you want to follow us, just in case we come back, because we will let you know, you can follow us.
I might tweet out some Houston, love.
Yeah,
So
yeah, you can follow us on Twitter at AlRecap. You can still send emails to contact@alrecap.com. I have that domain through February, so I'll probably redo it. So you can send there. We're still gonna be in Discord, discord.me/omniclab. I don't know if the Discord will get rebranded at some point to just, esports or something like that, but us as people will still be there to talk, and we'll still be trying to go to game nights. So game nights are always the last Friday of every month. And thank you guys so much for listening, and we really appreciate it. I mean, it's been a neat ride, and I
you
can't thank you guys enough. I just thank you so much.
Absolutely. Likewise over here. It's been amazing. And like you said, we're not going anywhere. We're still here. The community is still going strong. Overwatch is still a game that we love, and we'll all be hanging out in Discord, and hopefully you guys will too.
Yep. All right,
yeah.
Mel, where can
I
we
just hope
find?
you guys come and say hi and don't forget about us. We might be back. But if you have any Houston glory stories, just send them to me. You know, that's
uh,
all. You
All
can
right.
find me on Twitter at Mel Overwatch.
How about you? I play.
You can find me on Twitter at I Play Games. You spell that IPLII Games.
You guys should have gotten better Twitter handles. I'm just saying, mine's super easy.
Mine is pretty easy too. You just gotta let people
Just
know that
spell
it has
it.
a little
Dang.
quirk.
And you can find me at blazin_Bob. That's BLAZZIN_BOB. Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.